Hello viewers and welcome to it. It's a brand new season of World of Business. This is your weekly guide to trending business stories as well as the latest developments on the stock market. And yes, of course, we also herald the unsung heroes as well as business entrepreneurs on this program. It's a brand new season taking a look at all that and more. Now, I am your host, Kurt Lee Gwindi. But before we get into the hooks and the crooks, the main discussion of the day, we give you the exchange rates that we have been tracking this week. The Zimbabwe gold to the USD interbank rate was at 26.29 ZiG. The Zimbabwe gold to the Great Britain pound interbank rate was at 32.31 ZiG. The Zimbabwe gold to the euro interbank rate was at 27.30 ZiG. The Zimbabwe gold to the South African rand interbank rate was at 0.70 ZiG. And finally, the Zimbabwe gold to our neighbors, the Botswana pula, interbank rate was at 1.88 ZiG. We still continue the conversation here on World of Business. Now, speaking during an interaction with legislators from across the political divide at his Precabe Farm in Kwekwe last week, President ED Mnangagwa has implored the government to capacitate local farmers to ensure the country achieves national food security. Let's hear from the following clip.
To me, the first basic principle for a country is the ability to feed itself. A country must be able to feed itself. Kana nyika yakwanisa kuzvifida, it earns respect. Nokuti haiwanikwi ichitsvaka chikafu kune dzimwe nyika. Government's role is to capacitate our farmers at every level so that you may think it is expensive. There are some people in cabinet who think it's expensive to give inputs, free inputs to our people. No, it is cheaper for us to capacitate every single farmer to produce than not to capacitate them when they import. Because when you import, you are sending your own resources outside. It is critically important that you capacitate your own people to have capacity to produce at every level. This is the philosophy of your government.
Now, of course, with that context, we're going to analyze this clip as well as the president's words in detail. And in studio, I'm joined by no stranger to our World of Business family, as well as an economist of note. And this is none other than Dr. Langton Mabhanga. Thank you so much for joining us, Doc, once again.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you so much, Zimbabwe, for having me.
Absolutely. It is a new year and obviously a new advent, rather, with regards to the discussion of the economy. And this particular pointer that was set aside from our president that he stressed the importance of government capacitating farmers to reduce agricultural imports. Now, just allow us briefly to have a conversation on that, and perhaps you break that down. What exactly did that mean, and why is this critical for our nation, Zimbabwe?
I think where the president is coming from is that the small-scale farmers are quite a significant component of the entire agricultural sector. You take them away, you will have a very, very lean structure of the whole sector. So the small-scale farmers are quite key, and livelihood support is a huge priority to have. So it's a sector that has to be prioritized, and the president is merely giving signal to the bureaucrats, to all the sectors in the economy, that we need to give as much support as possible to the small-scale farmers. Because once you have got food, you have saved a nation. You may want to know that coming out of the drought patch, the average family in Zimbabwe, they were 40% to 50% of their incomes were just going towards food. So there is need to scale, household food production systems so that we secure lives.
You did talk about food security playing a huge role with regards to the economy growth. Let's talk about the capacitation of local farmers and maybe how we can reduce imports through these particular farmers.
The president has faithfully been supporting various input schemes. The cotton input schemes, the small grains input schemes, the maize input scheme, sunflowers, and so on. That comes with total support with fertilizers and seed, plus the technical extension services that are provided through the Ministry of Agriculture. Did you know that every village throughout the country have got a resident extension officer?
Absolutely.
Who provides technical expertise, guidance.
Doma domain.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So that creates the critical infrastructure for growth.
Oh, yes.
For the small scale.
So this person is playing a local role, but obviously dealing on a national scale with regards to how they operate.
Absolutely.
So obviously,
you may also want to locate that there is also a program that has been rolled out now of creating ICT centers that are accessed by all farmers. So farmers plus the extension officer are able to utilize internet services to get world-class knowledge on a particular crop problem that they have, a prediction that they want to make. They can access these facilities.
And we do appreciate that comment and contribution. We are going to be looking at all this and more regarding perhaps production that can and will happen locally in this year 2025 regarding the farming and agricultural sector at large. Now we'll take a short break. World of Business will return. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to World of Business, and of course we are carrying on the conversation in studio. I am joined by Dr. Langton, all things to do with the agricultural sector and its contribution to the gross domestic product of Zimbabwe's economy. Now, before we took a break, we looked at the measures that have been put in place by the government to ensure food security in Zimbabwe. Now, Dr. Mabhanga, thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you very much.
Back to you on this. The president also said that it's cheaper for government to capacitate every single farmer to produce than not to capacitate them and import. What role do you think the sectors play in ensuring the success of this vision?
I think that is a very significant business statement made by the president, Dr. ED Mnangagwa. That's well placed in terms of business. When you don't grow locally, where we don't grow enough locally, when we have no alternative of foregoing a product, that means we ought to have it by some other means, which leads us to importation. When you import, you don't control that price. You don't control availability. You don't control the value chain. So you ought to pay the price that is being asked for. You have little room to negotiate, so you pay more.
Yeah.
And meeting national demand require a seamless logistic system to bring in the product to make sure that it is adequately in supply. So that comes at a cost. Whereas if you invest in farming the product, you will grow it locally, you have control of the volumes,
Yes.
you have controls of the agro-processing systems, you have control over
the supply
the
chain,
entire value chains surrounding
chain,
that product.
Yeah, of course. But taking all these things into account, what issues need to be addressed in each of these sectors to ensure that there are no inconveniences in production chains? You were speaking of value chains earlier on, thereby guaranteeing big returns and a reduce on imports with these particular industries.
Thank you, Ken. That's a very good question. Production systems encompass lots of other variables. Again, variables that are within our control, variables that are outside of our control.
Yes.
And mind you, we are also a landlocked country. It is a key factor to consider. What is critical really for our economy is production. For the agricultural sector, the fundamental challenge, which I think is I hope can be taken for a challenge for NDS2, is to say, how can we create a second production season for Zimbabwe? That's key.
Yes.
And the president has been having his leg on the pedal about, let's have irrigation and irrigation per each district. That essentially will trigger a second season for Zimbabwe.
Absolutely.
So during the dry season, because every village is kitted with a solarized borehole system that can drive irrigation system, that means we can produce even during the dry season.
Oh, yes.
So do that, aggregate that across the entire country and say every district is pushing out a commodity during the dry season. Consequently, we have our second season. That's number one, production. For the mining sector, the same. And let's optimize our minerals. Let's negotiate well on our minerals. Let's preserve the natural resource capital that is endowed in this country. Fortunately, we have the human capital that can match the industry now and the industry of the future. We do have that human capital. Our education system is pristine. Our higher education system is pristine. So we do have the necessary legs that can get us to the next level of growth. Upper middle income status, I'm sure that is going to be attained before, ahead
by
of target.
2030.
Oh yeah, definitely. If we had not incurred this drought, mind you, it is the worst in the 40 years.
Yes.
If you consider that in 2022, this economy had a 6% growth rate. In 2023, it had a 5.3% growth rate. But owing to the drought, we had a slump down to 2%. Imagine, take away that drought. If we had maintained a 6% growth rate, this year, we are expecting 2025, good heavens, we have the rains with us.
Yes.
We're expecting we should charge towards 6% growth rate, or even more, even past 6%, below 7%. We can achieve that. If we had maintained that, we would have been wrapping the conversations about the upper middle income status, because the infrastructure is in place, the objectives have been covered, the whole architecture that is required to drive an economy
That's the
and
strategy.
society. We're there for upper middle income society.
Let's talk about self-sufficiency as a country. How best can government grow the economy through that particular avenue?
Look, water is at the base of that whole answer, water. And mind you, these boreholes that are being done at village areas, they are being integrated in a business formation style. So it's not just putting a borehole there. There is a whole comprehensive business architecture that's sitting at every village. So imagine if every village is able to produce food in season and out of season. Imagine. That means families will have food lines that they are producing on their tables. that means we have a food secure community, or rather society. At a higher level, at a national level, if we continue to scale our wheat production, mind you, we have been wheat sufficient, bar the drought period, but we have been wheat sufficient in this country. Given the Russia-Ukraine conflict, that has literally blocked movement of wheat outside of that region.
Oh yes,
mind you, we were having wheat coming out of Ukraine, by the way. So, bar all that, if we were not producing our wheat, the price of bread would have shot off the roof.
oh yes.
But because we have produced our wheat, we're talking about Millimil. Millimil has not moved in terms of price. It has maintained its price. Again, courtesy. I still put on leadership. Look, I'm a scholar of leadership. I'm a scholar of policy architecture. I'm a scholar of governance. Architecture.
Yeah.
I place all that on leadership. If you then scale production at every level of the sector, be mining, be agriculture, I think we're moving to a level where we increasingly broaden our food sufficiency base, and perhaps even begin to export food to other countries as well.
Briefly, two things. Basically, can you tell us what the land tenure program is about? And secondly, how best it can reshape the economy of our nation?
Good. There's been a spawning, growing fear about land security in the country. There's been this underlying belief that someday the land will be taken away again from the people to the erstwhile owners. So, securing land to the current owners, the current beneficiaries, Zimbabwean beneficiaries, black like us Zimbabweans, puts that issue
at rest.
Done and paid.
Absolutely.
At another level, there is a huge economic growth that comes with that. It means that when your land is secured, you've secured your land, you can access various facilities. And with the fast improving credit ratings for Zimbabwe, you can even access facilities in Zimbabwe or outside of Zimbabwe.
Correct. We do love that contribution there, and most definitely you did say securing the land will put the issue at rest, and we also sadly need to put this conversation at rest. We appreciate Dr. Mabhanga. It's always a pleasure to be having you in studio.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Zimbabwe.
And that has been Dr. Mabhanga, who joins us, an economist of note, and of course his insight as well as expertise regarding all things to do with governance, leadership, and most importantly, the key drivers and stirrers of our economy: agriculture, mining, all things. We've broken them down here on World of Business. And yes, we continue the conversation in the third and final segment. We'll put a close to the second segment. Please stay tuned. Welcome back, viewers, to the third and final segment of World of Business. And yes, it is your favorite, I do believe personally. For me, we take you out of the studio. And yes, it is the Entrepreneur of the Week. And this week, our World of Business team spoke to Mr. Afzal Motwala, a local manufacturer of detergents and personal care products. Let us hear more from Sela, as per usual, as she speaks to Mr. Motwala. Over to you, Sela.
Now, one of the key issues at the helm of the National Development Strategy and consequently the achievement of Vision 2030 is prioritizing value addition and beneficiation in the manufacturing sector. Against this background, today we visited a big player in the manufacturing sector, majoring in the manufacturing of hair care and personal care products, Mr. Afzal Motwala, who is going to walk us through his journey as an entrepreneur in Zimbabwe. What are the challenges that he has faced? What are the achievements? And what are the key benefits that Zimbabwe is gaining from this particular project? Stay tuned for the conversation. Can you tell us the background behind the formation of this company?
Sure. I mean, it's been a company that's about 22, 24 years old. We bought out a South African company that left that time, and we took the company over about, like I said, 22, 24 years ago. We listed in the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, and we've been running that for the last, like I said, 20, 24 years. And it's been a long journey, challenging at times, but it's been fun.
Okay. So looking at the Zimbabwean space and your product coming into the market, what issues do you think is addressing, and what gap is it addressing, looking at the issues of hair care and personal care?
I think I find that whilst we as Zimbabweans know a lot, we have difficulty in accessing the goods. Internationally, the trends have moved on, and we find that that's where we're lacking. And I think it's important for companies to be innovative, to be quick on the move, to be able to source raw materials quickly, and have products that benefit our people here locally. Definitely.
Okay. So maybe I'll ask for the sake of someone out there, are you originally from Zimbabwe? And if so, or if not, what motivated you to then come to Zimbabwe and start a company that would benefit Zimbabweans?
That's a very interesting question. A lot of people ask me that. Where are you from? They all think, where is he? Is he from here or there? I was actually born in Zambia. Grew up in Zambia, but I studied here at Peterhouse because we'd heard about Peterhouse School. We came in here, we studied there, and then I just had this love for Zimbabwe. It's a beautiful country. The people are lovely, friendly, high education levels. So for us, this was a goal sort of country that we had to come to. And I think about 30 odd years ago, we moved here, looked for opportunities, and then built up this business.
Well, what are the long-term goals of this project in as far as achieving Vision 2030 and attaining an upper middle income society in Zimbabwe is concerned?
Without a doubt, the President's Project, the NDS program, is definitely by far something that countries like ourselves need to work on. We need to have an upper middle class. We need to have a high level of middle class people. We need the spending power. We need to be having our own economic freedom, if that's what I call it, where we have people live in the high living standard measure must be where people can spend their money and enjoy what we make in this country.
Earlier you mentioned the need for manufacturers to make sure that they produce good quality products. And now if you look at it in our shelves, there's been a major shift from the previous years where we had to import most of our products. Now 80% of the goods that are on the shelves in the supermarkets are locally produced. But what do you think is the importance of majoring on value addition and beneficiation when issues of manufacturing are discussed on the table?
To be honest, in the manufacturing sector, that's probably one of the most important things. We need to be manufacturing ourselves. We need to understand our quality controls ourselves. The other manufacturers, they may take things like quality lightly because they may feel that some of us don't appreciate it. I can promise you, if we can have the right quality product, the people appreciate it, they understand it, and you will see it in the way they buy. And that's how simple it is. And we've seen the difference over the last 10 years. We have given our heart and soul on giving the right product at the right price.
And how best can we reduce imports in Zimbabwe and have people consuming more of our locally produced goods as compared to the goods that we are getting from, maybe, for instance, you mentioned South Africa?
Sure, absolutely. I must be honest, I think if we can get more manufacturers in, I always say competition is good. When you have a monopoly business, you can get away with anything. But when there's more competition, I think you'll find the quality will definitely get better and the pricing will get better. A simple example is just look at Starlink and what's happened in the last few months in this country.
As a company, you've got a record breaking of producing the biggest foam bath brand in Zimbabwe, and also now looking at Southern Africa as a whole. And now we're saying you're dominating the market, you're dominating the space in Zimbabwe. How are you maximizing on this aspect of value addition on its own?
To be honest, we used to import our bubble brand product about 10 years ago, and we said to ourselves that we just cannot continue to do that at the cost of having to buy currency, having to pay duties, having to transport the product in. So we said, let us put up a factory that does that. And we actually did, and we struggled. Initially, I know we said to ourselves, I think, have we made a mistake? But by making the right product at the right price, and we ensured our quality control was absolutely spot on. We struggled, but I think people then understood that this product is just as any other product in anywhere else in the world. The quality was absolutely perfect. And I think the numbers show themselves. I mean, you can see clearly that anywhere you go to today, it's a hand wash, shower gel, or a bubble bath. I think we're definitely the market leaders over there.
So looking at your staff complement, how many are part-time and how many are full-time workers? And overall, how many people are you employing as a company?
The direct cost staff complement is about 70 odd people within the factory and about close to 300 in our sales, merchandising, distribution, and warehousing.
Okay, and any awards and recognitions?
Oh, we're always winning awards. We're very proud to say we're always winning awards. We're always selected for our top brands. I've won the CEO of the Year award, or I think it was the second award, and I've been recognized within Zimbabwe, within South Africa, and actually within the region as well. So I'm quite happy to say that we've been looked at quite favorably.
Okay. Lastly, say your message to aspiring entrepreneurs and fellow manufacturers in Zimbabwe.
Never, ever give up. Live with passion, wake up every morning, and get out there and do it. Simple.
Right there, you have had it for yourselves. Never give up, as Mr. Motwala rightfully said there in the conversation. That was a very educational conversation that has taught us the importance of prioritizing our locally manufactured goods here in Zimbabwe. And that brings an end to this week's edition of our Entrepreneur of the Week. Be sure to join us again on our next segment. It's Back to the Studio.
And that's it for this week on your serving of World of Business. Please make sure you do catch us here, same time, same place. My name is Curtly Gwindi. From us at Pocket Hill Studios, Sela, our co-presenter, and all of us here at the ZBC. It is a pleasant viewing, and God bless Zimbabwe.